Yeah, we're only at 5 minutes late, ahead of schedule. That's right. Hey, everybody. Welcome to our end of campaign. I don't know. What do they call these
Wrap
things?
up?
Like review, wrap.
Debrief?
Yeah, wrap.
Yep.
A wrap party.
A rap party. There we go.
Wrap party. Without Joe, the lawyer, will not be joining us, but I believe Ken will be joining us in a little bit, doing his Joe impersonation.
I'm putting money down that Joe does show up. I'm putting money
Really?
down there. I'm saying that he can't stand that we will be talking about Columbo without him. That I don't. I just think he's listening.
That may trigger him.
He may be in chat. He may not come on.
Right.
But once we get going, something
Right.
tells me.
Yeah, we're gonna expect some flaming from him. Yeah.
So I'm expecting that he will show up in some form or fashion. I could be lying, but
Let me
just
get
my
this
thought.
over. Absolutely. So, all right. So what? I can't even remember. I was going to go look back at my thing. I was trying to find out when it started.
Was it September?
I don't know. I have all the videos. I was going to do some little bit of research before I got here. Haha. And
well, the chat will know. The chat will know.
I think we've got 2 eyeballs on us right now. Two.
Yeah.
So
spin back through my write-ups and I'll see what I can come up with.
I got Stone Toad Mine number 1. It says 7 months ago. I don't know.
That sounds about right.
I have session 0 in July.
I was gonna say because there would have been a couple of session zeros too. Yeah.
Excuse me, guys.
No problem, Paul. Back in July, is that one? Because you and I did like 2 session zeros, didn't we, Vance?
We just did the 1.
Okay, that's because you got introduced to the Goblin Campo, as I called it then for some reason. Yep. I don't know why, and then you went into that shrine with the one
with Cast Crow and got dead a few times.
Right. You started,
and
how many times do you think did you go to like 0 hit points during the campaign?
God, I'd have to look, if let's just say I made 20 sessions of 27, so I'd probably basically like 3 times per session. So
3 times per session. Yeah. It was because I remember I think you got nailed down. But the funny thing with your guy, Vance, is like you're always down, but people made the rolls just in time, or you made a high enough roll on your
on my
kick the body thing to stay alive. So that was always kind of fun and interesting.
Right. Well, I had a decent constitution up until the end of the campaign when I got wraithed out. And so
did the wraith get your? I forgot that the wraith got your constitution.
Yeah.
Jeez.
14 to a constitution of 4. So.
So how did you find Shadowdark playing though, overall?
I mean, I enjoyed it. I kind of when I first got the book and kind of was reading through it, I was a little kind of skeptical of kind of the the rules and a little bit of the kind of implied setting. And
what about the rules? Was skeptical, or were you skeptical about?
Yeah, I mean, I was just, I don't know, I was being a little critical about it or something like that. And, I still have to write up my review of Shadowdark itself, which in my draft folder probably since before this campaign.
All right.
But, so part of me was a little bit of like, okay, what's the hype? And, so I was like, okay, well, I got to try it on for size. And so I, playing in this, and then I've run a handful of one shots with it as well. And, I like the I mean, it suits kind of my fast and loose, gaming, and I was like, do we really have to do the light thing? And I was like, okay, the light thing actually is kind of having kind of a codified resource management that's, because I know that when I'm running a game like my campaign at my home campaign, it's like I'm not keeping track of like rations or crossing the desert, kind of
Right.
thing, which is what my players have been doing for the last few sessions. So it actually having, between the slots and having the kind of that light thing, it kind of enforces a little bit of that discipline to keep track of that sort of stuff, just to, even if it's, kind of a surface level thing, at least,
Right.
it's kind of this thing that's kind of, literally clicking in the background, you know. So, I, I'm fine. And, in converse to what, a couple of the other players are, I mean, I enjoy the roll to cast and I really enjoy the failure,
Me too.
I, re-
Yeah.
I revel in the failure. So, and
Yeah.
that, and that kind of fit how my player was, at least my character was kind of set up initially, was, just doesn't understand how magic works. So, if
Right.
it goes off, awesome. If it doesn't, well, I guess I just, didn't wave my arms right,
Right. I bent my fork to the left instead to the right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah, it's funny that I mean I sometimes I have a hard time understanding Joe with that stuff because he just, I mean, to me that's like the essence of the fun of a game, just
Yeah.
the randomness and the chaos of just screwing it up, and so and it's funny how he gets so squeaky about it because I don't know if you know this, Vance. Joe always plays magic users, and pretty much in any other system he always
Okay.
plays magic user. He won't do it. Wouldn't do it for Shadowdark. He just refused because he just did not like that fail.
Right.
He did not like that, and I mean, I guess I kind of get it in a way, and if, but I don't know. I would rather have the chance of casting, I don't know, my light spell 3 times and blowing up than just casting like a sleep spell
Yeah.
once and then having to stand in the background and twiddle your thumbs kind of thing.
Right. And it's certainly lighter than like the DCC variant of it, which I mean I like, but it, again, I'm not, into flipping through a, doorstop of a book to figure out if my magic missile was 1d4 or 1d6, depending on how I
Because
rolled.
doesn't every spell have like a random table every time you cast?
Yeah,
Or
every
something?
spell has a random table,
Yeah.
and I like the idea, but yeah, the application of it's, gets a little bit unwieldy. And I was listening to, I think it's Loki's Lair, and
Yeah.
and a couple other, YouTubers and stuff like that about, talking about magic systems, and the idea of liking the idea of rolling a cast, but that even this is a little bare bones, and so it does have a little bit of a, it's not, it's not quite attractive to them as far as how it works, but somewhere in there, having a, having that chance of failure, having that, a little bit of, unpredictability, I think is a, you know it it adds a little bit back into that, that original idea of the Vancian of like magic being this thing that's, unpredictable and alive, and it fits
Right.
with a lot more like kind of, literary senses of magic or traditions of magic, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, I consider it like the fifth element in a way. It's like trying to control fire, trying to control water, or any of the elements. If it gets out of hand, you're going to have a bad day.
Yeah.
No matter which one it is, it's seriously going. Yeah. So, Paul, we were just talking about just talking about the system Shadowdark itself, and
Right.
how was this the very first time you've been in a game with Shadowdark? I couldn't remember if you had a
I had
background.
run Shadowdark. I never played Shadowdark.
Okay. All right. So how'd you find it then? How did you like the system?
I like it because it is, I think as I heard Van say, it is this unpredictable factor that that prevents people from becoming superheroes, right? It is in other games where you can just level up and you're virtually just impervious to everything, right? There's
Right.
a shtick for everything. There's an answer for everything. Versus you could be 8th level and your spell can still fail. The dice rolls are compensate against that, so that if you are really heroic, that can happen. You could be very heroic, but it can also go sideways really, really fast. I think the scope is there versus other systems where you are in superhero mode all the time versus this, like that the heroic moments feel very heroic, and the epic terribleness is terrible. It is.
Yeah, as you demonstrated.
As I demonstrated clearly.
Yes.
Several
Yes.
times, I think.
I was going to say a few times, I
A
believe.
few times.
Yeah. Oh, jeez. Yeah, I thought the system itself, because when I first got it, I definitely knew as soon as I read it, I really liked it. I just some of the things I thought were a little bit gimmicky, like the torch real torch time, but it was during that first what was it, one shot that we did, especially with you and Joe, I think it was Paul, and you gave the torch to a kid who ran away.
Yeah. Somebody mentioned to me that it had been funny if that kid showed up in the last episode with that torch.
Right.
instead, or ran into him, or just ran into him in the city.
Yeah, I can't tell you. I had a couple. I think it was 2 or 3 people wanted Kramer to make a return.
Yeah,
and I almost, I was trying to figure out a way to kind of work it in and everything, but it just got so chaotic at that last session.
Yeah, hard to do, hard to fit everything
right.
in. There's a lot there when you're looking at 7 months worth of, you can do, only so many callbacks and only so many, little things you can fit in there. But I thought the ending was fitting.
Right. But I think the rules that I'm glad I just kind of just ignored was the whole always on initiative. I don't see a need for that.
Yeah.
With our party, if I was working with if I was gaming with like maybe some kids or some folks that I didn't know so well, then I could see it as a good tool to use with that. But with you guys, and especially with Joe's not good at waiting his turn. So we knew that was never gonna happen. he was always going to jump in front of the line. And I'm trying to think, was there any other rules that I because at first I didn't like the luck tokens, because it's still the luck tokens still kind of offend me to my core in the reroll thing. But after we played for so long, I saw the need for especially you guys.
Well,
I mean, having that chance.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, even when you use, to me, that's just your second chance of failing epically, because you use the luck token and then you fail again. Yeah. Like, that wasn't lucky at all. It just compounds the injury.
Right. Yeah. Yep. Oh gosh. Yeah. But I've come to, because of Shadowdark, I've come to peace with the luck token. I definitely am not offended by them as much as I originally was. And then I'm trying to think if there's.
Well, I can tell you a rule that you did not include.
Which one's that?
Morale.
For you guys?
For the monsters.
What I did for the monsters is I don't like just blanket morale. I don't like blanket morale. I like situational morale, or depending on because the way I do my critters and everything like that. if you meet two orcs in the forest and they're two different here, well, these two orcs might be just like, your bully boys who aren't, I'm gonna jack these guys up, or the other two orcs might be like, whoa, 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 we're just, we killed a halfling already. We're going to get fed. We're just looking for some bay leaves to season them up with or something like that.
Sure.
We're good.
I don't remember any monsters fleeing away from us at all. Zero monsters fleed, I believe.
Yeah.
You would be wrong. You guys don't know how many monsters did flee away from you, and you never knew about it because of what you guys did. Because when you guys were in the battles, and sometimes you guys depended, because a lot of battles you guys didn't show enough prowess to scare anybody.
Yeah.
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
But when you guys did some of the encounters that you had, I was rolling to see if they were going to join in, and they chose not to.
Okay.
So there was some of some of that situation kind of thing, but for the most part, it depended on what the situation is. I think a lot of the monsters that you ran into were either like kind of like animal intelligence or demonic kind of things. But if they were like humanoids, and a lot of times you guys were on the attack on those ones, like you were doing the infiltration,
right?
That I kind of remember. There's probably a few situations where it didn't happen,
Yeah.
but yeah, morale is one of those things I use, but more in the background. I mean, I think you guys had a few people surrender to you. I can't remember offhand now. I thought there was a bugbear who just said no moss because you guys had basically killed everybody else.
There's a fight during the beginning there, and I'm looking at my summaries and stuff of we'd gone in and fought those bugbears that had the goblin slaves, and I think that was when Columbo first found his ring or whatever.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, and they fled. Yeah, the big boss fled in that one.
Yeah.
And that, so
I remember just a big, and I don't know why this was, but it wasn't even a combat. It was just a big, I want to say it was just a giant deer in the forest.
Yeah.
That was just roaming the forest. We were like,
yeah, we're not messing with it. Well, we had just fought the bear, or Columbo had fought the bear. Again, there's a critter that was not going to fight us, And
I don't know if that was on purpose, if that was a roll, or if that was just a conscious decision that says, nope, I'm just going to have this giant thing march through the forest just to mess with the group.
Well, I mean, that's what you find in the Comor Forest. You usually don't find, just a bear, because I mean, normal deer in the Comor Forest wouldn't survive. They would be they're going to be extinct. So you're going to have a little bit more of a hardier deer, sturdier version.
Yeah.
There. All right, we got Draymond in the house.
Hey guys.
Draymond's doing our best Joe impersonation today.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I don't have any celebrities to Elvira or Catwoman.
That's right. Or the Big Lebowski.
I was going to say Lebowski there. Yeah. Well, I mean, you can't just start off full Joe. You got to pace yourself.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's a deep ass pool. You don't want to, you stick your toe in and see if you're even going to like it, because, there's a lot of weed and booze floating around in that pool.
Another rule we didn't use was carousing, which
we tried it once. Remember, we did it that one time. I think it was during the beginning. Yeah, we did it one time.
That's how I ended up in the
stockade.
Oh, that's right. You did.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
Yep. Yeah, I think that was the only time I did, because really you guys didn't have any downtime that much, because you guys were always doing something or whatever.
That's true. Yeah.
There's kept it more of a fast-paced campaign.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
There's no such thing as downtime when Tim is running the campaign.
That's right. You know, and I always want to integrate it, but I don't know. I wasn't a big fan of the downtime rules because of some of the. Hey, Mark.
Hello.
Let me look here.
Mark has been misinformed. He says, "I was told this is where the cool kids are supposed to be at." That's
Well, it's supposed to be.
well.
If you've
Supposed to
watched
be.
any-
Yeah,
if you've watched any of our episodes,
If you
I
have
was-
walked into the cafeteria of life, we're the special table over there on the left. The
We're
jocks,
the ones sitting at the cafeteria table with the giant penis etched into the table.
correct. Nerds. It's just nerds on it.
The reason why I use that reference because that's exactly the table that we sat at in my cafeteria because there was one with it.
There we
And
go.
it was surprisingly anatomically correct. It was very accurate. Whoever did it knew what they were, they had a fantastic model, I guess.
Well, yeah.
But the carousing rules, yeah.
It was a self-portrait. It was a self-portrait.
God, I hope not.
Somebody just laid it out right there on your table and sketched around it.
Ooh, there's an outline.
Feel better
for
about all
you.
the meals you ate there now?
I don't even want to talk about that.
They never watched that.
No. But like the carousing rules, I think I found them right now. Like some of the stuff, I think too much took the campaign in too much direction that wasn't a player's choice or some of the stuff. It's just like, I mean, some of the stuff I did like, just some random goofy stuff that I definitely, thought. But what was it? Let me see here. What was? I don't even know what that word is. So,
What number are you looking at?
the spirited. What is it? FETE.
Feet? Fete?
Feet?
Or fete?
Fete? Yeah, I don't see any little
fate
googlies over it. I don't know. I don't know what that word is.
What number are you looking at on the carousing table?
Where am I?
It's the 1,200 gold piece one.
Oh, a spirited fate lasting 10 days that attracts hordes of revelers.
Fate too.
Huh? What
That's
is it?
a fate?
Yeah.
Yeah, that takes over an entire town or a city district. That's a little much. I could see, working or whatever like that, but there's just certain ones in there just like, I don't know. And I guess she's doing more rules or updating the rules in the new Kickstarter.
She's doing a whole
campaign
setting.
Right, but I guess she's adding some more carousing rules or
it might be, is it in the next curse scroll maybe or something? I don't remember.
It could be. I mean, the curse scrolls, I guess, are going to be kind of in those books too, but not everything, I guess. I mean, I haven't gone into it.
If you want to watch, I gotten off one stream or something I was doing. Lord Mattias had a live stream as he does like what's called second watch, I think it's called, or first or second watch.
He's the one with the pixelized wizard guy, right?
I think maybe.
Yeah. I think so, but go ahead.
Anyway, he's on Legion of Myth quite often and those kind of things. Anyway, here comes Kelsey into the chat. So there's probably 10 or 15 of us in the chat, and there she is, just kind of engaging and talking, and they made the whole thing talk about. But they talked about the zines, and they talked about a lot of those. So I would direct people to find Lord Mattias's channel and watch that live one if you want to hear more of what she shares in chat, and also how
more accurate information of what'll be in there. Yeah, that's cool. Lord Matt, is that the name of his channel?
Yes.
Okay.
I'll drop it in the chat here, and you can.
So, OJ, Joe violated the conditions of his parole.
That's right. He's got two anklet monitors on him, and both of them were screaming, over the past week. That doesn't work. Yeah. Any other rules we didn't use? Carousing. Would you guys like me to use the carousing more?
Well, I mean, I think it depends probably on the
Campaign.
How the campaign works, because a lot of times we didn't end up necessarily we ended up in like these little cliffhangers, or we ended up in scattered across scattered to the four winds. And so if we it's kind of one of those things like if we did it at a way stop, like we'd moved from one city to another, or got back to Scorn or whatever at the end of the evening, and and we're just sorting our coins or something. I think that's where it would work. Like I use carousing in my game, when we are, even if they are at a, sometimes at a, at a rest stop kind of thing. Like last one Sunday night we had, they'd got out, they'd gotten this resource they were looking for, killed a big monster, got back to, a settlement, and of course the question is, are you going to carouse? And the answer is, of course we are. And I roll,
of course,
and then I roll, I use one of the other carousing tables from another game, and everybody ends up waking up in some random place, or losing all their money on cockfighting bets, or shady business deals or whatever like that. So that's how that's kind of. But and again, I think a lot of it depends on the group too, because some people don't necessarily like it, but I think it's also that part of the game, and that idea of like Conan either at the end or beginning of every one of his stories is broke.
Right. He's broke. Exactly. Yeah. Absolutely.
Which is par for the course. If you I've been broke, and Taryn was broke, and so was just ran out of money, or gave away money, or bribed people, or whatever you had to do. But but what you say about it being a table where it can impact the story, like you said, like how do we with Draymond being in jail, right? How does that impact the rest of how the story plays out? Now, most of these are, at least ones on the table, or most of them are things that just happen to you, right? It's backstory, like you survived, an angry wizard cast a deadly spell at you, but you reflected it off your cup.
Right. Yeah, that's a fun one.
So that's a fun one, right? So then the wizard becomes a part. Why does this wizard not like you? If you want to, the DM can include the wizard as part of the thing.
Now I've got an NPC that I can bring out absolutely.
And then you give that that character a little bit of backstory that they can refer to if they want, as they tell tales of their adventures. At one time, I was in a tavern, and a wizard shot at me, and I deflected it off my cup. I held my cup up and scattered it away, and made him cry. So I think it's good for that. I think if once again, if you're in jail at the beginning, if you do it at the beginning, well, whether you do it at the end of the beginning, it doesn't matter, I guess. But if you do it at the beginning, if you're starting off, you're hamstringing whatever it is you thought you were going to do, the carousing. If you do the carousing table, that's kind of where you're at then. Draymond's in jail, and we have to start with that.
The funny thing is now that I looked over it, I've looked over it a few times. It doesn't seem that bad now after a second look. It doesn't look like it would be, that counterproductive or distracting like I originally thought it was. I would probably be more inclined to use it now. But like, I guess for this campaign, this was sort of like I don't know what you want to call it, a pilot campaign. I wanted to, kick the tires on it, see how it runs, test. That's why I was like, after every session, I wanted to talk to you guys. What rules did you like? What do you want to change? What worked, what didn't work, and see where we could tweak it and make it work for us and everything. So I kind of kept it fast paced, and I kept there's Joe.
What'd we say?
Yeah.
I wish I was betting Vegas odds. I'd be rich man right now.
He says, I'm here
Rich
while
man.
at the gym listening. So he's jogging and listening to us on the treadmill, praying for
Your
death.
old slow delivery.
About 10 minutes behind. Ken just joined, but I'm listening to your old slow delivery at 1.75 speed. So I don't have this. I don't have Jersey can't like you do, Joe. I can't do the hustle speech. So
now the I don't know. It wasn't. I think if you use it too, every character is optional, right? You ask him. So let me ask this: would you make the whole group do carousing, or would you just offer it to the group and say who would like to do carousing?
Well, that's all I would do. Is like I think I did that to you guys last time. I asked each one of you if you wanted to participate. I think 3 of you did. Joe, I think, declined because he's a chicken shit.
Who hates Shadowdark?
Yes,
and hates fun.
He
hates any type of fun. He hates any type of randomness. If I made Joe a god, he would just be this high guy going, bah, don't do that. Ah.
He would be what, a Modron or whatever those things are?
Right. A Modron, that's right.
Joe the Modron?
A giant
Joe
cube.
Yeah, I think was the Modrons the cubes or were those the little pyramid heads?
I don't remember which ones were which. I just know.
Oh, now I gotta look.
I think they're all called Modrons, aren't they? And then they're
are they
named. That's my guess.
Okay.
Isn't it March of the Modrons is the famous
the Welsh guy.
The famous adventure called the March of the Modrons?
I don't know.
Vance is looking it up. He's going to tell us.
I don't know. All I'm seeing is the figure from Welsh tradition. Blah blah blah.
Yeah, I clicked on the 5e one because, of course, that's all it comes up. But it just says Modron, and it just has there's monodrone, duodrone, tridrone. So I guess Modron's the name of the race.
Is the name of the race? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Couldn't remember. I just remember seeing those. And what was it? The Fiend Folio or Monster Manual 2 or something like that years ago.
Yeah, Monster Manual 2. You're correct. Yep. I believe that's it.
Yeah.
And the risk reward of the carousing time. I mean, you're going to, what I have in mind, I mean, Taryn probably could have used a few extra hit points just because he'd have done it every time just to see if he could level up,
Right. Well, that's it. I mean, because if you run Shadowdark almost as written, you're going to get more experience points for carousing.
Possibly, yeah.
There's a lot of, you can get a lot of XP for carousing. And then I also I use the hunter mode in Shadowdark. So that's where you get XP for killing monsters too. So I was giving the XP for monsters as well.
Sure.
And not just the treasure, which is I think pretty standard for that. But I also gave you guys what I call exploration XP. I don't know. I have always liked that aspect where if you go into a place you haven't been before, I usually assign it an XP value. Now you have this because I mean, if you think about it, that's what everybody says these days. It's like, you're instead of buying a TV, I want to go on a trip and have an experience.
But I think that's good. I think that's good rules there because it's, if you go to somewhere new and you've explored, because that's what you're encouraging players to do, right? Yeah. To go outside and go somewhere new they've never been. And if they do, well, then give them amount of expo because layers and things of that, in a lot of editions have their own abilities now. They have their own conditions, right. And that kind of thing. So
absolutely.
I think that's all the rules. Some of the rules we didn't use. Was there any? Did you use any of the treasure from the book, or were those just your treasure items?
No, remember, there's a few times, more than a few times, where I had you guys roll randomly right then to determine your treasure that you got from the book. The random treasure generator. There's more than a few times where I had you guys roll.
I'm trying to remember if I rolled on anything. Maybe the
You ended up getting that potion that was randomly rolled.
oh, the potion where if I drank it, I would be resistant to something, right?
But it would always be it was
it would
random.
be random, right? It could be
Right.
anytime. Like this time, it's electricity,
Right.
right? Yeah.
Yep. And then Vance, I believe, got the flower smelling bow or something that possessed him.
Oh, was that in the book?
Yeah, that was one that we
Oh,
randomly
okay.
rolled up on the spot, and yeah, it had some fun
Was it
stuff
the
in
bed,
there.
what was the fork part of that too? Because
No, I think
treasure zero, the very first entry in the treasure level 0 is bent tin fork.
Yeah, I don't remember what that was from, but I thought you had that coming in, Vance. But I don't know if that was something you got, or I thought you brought
Well, I
it in.
found
And
it. I found it in the original in our session 0. And
oh, okay.
so at that point, I was just like, okay, this is his spell focus,
Right.
Not.
Yeah. So I must have been using the table because I used the different mixtures. I used a mixture of what was in Shadowdark and a little bit of my own, because the way I have it in my campaign for a magic item, they can be imbued with like the viz stuff that you guys find. You just have to write material and visit. But a lot of times, what they'll do to get the more potent weapons or the more powerful weapons is you have to imbue it with maybe like a soul of something, a spirit of something. You basically trap something within there to and give it its magical abilities. So that's why you guys find a lot of demonically possessed items and stuff like that. So, but I was going to ask Ken a question now. How did you like running a cleric, Ken?
It was. I was just thinking about that, and it's good. I like running clerics a lot more when there aren't paladins around.
Okay, fair enough.
Because it just seems like clerics just end up being sort of a wimpy version. Clerics end up being a wimpy version of a paladin.
That's fair, yeah.
And so I did like having a dwarf that had was rolling for advantage with hit points.
Yes.
It meant that I could be a decent in combat. And I ended up getting like bonuses to hit as one of the things I rolled. Mm-hmm. And so I think having like a signature spell, I think having one at every level that you can roll with advantage is probably a little overpowered.
I would agree.
I think, but having like a first level spell that both wizards and priests can, so you could, let's say, have magic missile at advantage.
Right. Well, Matt, actually, that's the one spell that does come with advantage in Shadowdark for whatever reason. Yeah.
Okay.
It's funny. I mean, even though we say it's overpowered, it's still, you still guys. No, I know I wasn't running. I'm too fat to run. You guys were rolling poorly enough that like you're rolling for advantage. Yeah. I guess it helped you. There, especially for you, Ken. I think you used your advantage more than anybody else for that to your advantage.
Yeah. I mean, I think where I noticed the power, like where it seemed a little overpowered, was, I mean, my second level spell was Smite.
Yep.
And that's 1d6 on one creature. That's not, I mean,
overpowering.
Yeah, because I was if I hit it with a hammer, I was going to do 1d10.
Right.
But the mass healing, that's pretty tough when you can do that over and over again.
Right. Somebody was mentioning that in one of the Shadowdark forums that they thought that the healing was overpowered. And I was just looking it up. For healing, it says you that's not maybe not heal. What was it? Cure. Is it cure? Because healed restores you to full hit points. Must be just cure wounds or something. Like cure your wounds. So you get roll d6s equal to half your level and everything like that. I don't know. I think that I don't know. I don't have a problem with that.
No, I didn't either. But I think
that
the
worked out
mass
well.
healing, because you can heal everybody within a certain distance of you.
But again, I think that's only 1d6 for everybody, though, right? It's
I
not
think
leveled
2D
up.
It might be 2d6.
Oh, it's 2d6. It is. Yep. All allies within you near range regain 2d6 hit points.
Yeah, and it doesn't scale as you go up in levels.
Right. It's it's definitely can be effective. Yeah, absolutely.
I think that like I felt when when it was Draymond and Blaga, I definitely felt that Vance would have to speak for his own experience, but I certainly felt like Blaga was underpowered because of the you're not wearing armor and you don't have as many hit points.
Yeah.
And
I mean, classic mage,
Yeah. Well, and then you also randomly rolled your spells too, so you didn't optimize at all either. You let the fate decide.
And like magic missiles is just 1d4. Like it doesn't.
Well, he had the Mervs. He actually had a
because we homebrewed out.
Right. I knew that, but I thought, boy, that's
magic missiles. Yeah.
And, I think and he survived.
He survived I had a good cleric to heal me every once in a while.
Sometimes over and over again.
We were actually talking about that before we got. I think you were on the phone, Paul, and I asked him how many times he went down, and he's like, "Well, I was here 20 out of 27 sessions, and since I went down about average of 3 times per session, multiply that out."
Wow.
But the thing is all of his things were legitimate, because even though I run it has a little bit of squishing or a little bit of 5e leaning type things. When Vance almost died, I don't know, 2 or 3 times in his session 0.
Yeah. Like I know how this is gonna go.
Right. And the funny thing is you have to roll, like, I think it's a 15 or above to do the binding or whatever. And everything made it. I mean, even when you guys were and I do the kick the body thing, I don't have people roll the dice until you get to them and to see if they're already dead or if they actually have a chance left, because I think that's a little bit more fun. But all the rolls were legit, and like I said to Vance, it's like it seemed like you just always would just roll enough in the rounds to have someone reach you. I thought you were going to die the last session. I didn't, but luckily you rolled. I think you rolled exactly what you needed to roll.
Right. And and I had a crit when I needed one for a spell. Otherwise, it would have gotten reflected on me or something.
Yeah, against the.
I had my backup character sitting on my desktop the entire time.
What rules didn't you guys like? Or just thought maybe it didn't work well, or needed tweaks or something?
I can't think of any that I didn't like. I mean, the system is the
Mm-hmm.
system. So, I mean, I don't think there was any additional rule or side rule or anything like that I go, oh, that's, working harshly against us or something like that all the time.
Right.
I just thought this is the system. So,
Yeah, I didn't feel like it was like there was something that I thought, oh, this is annoying. I think what I did like is that I rarely had to look things up. Right out of the gate, it just made sense. And if there was a question on something specific, it was usually something that if I just opened the inside cover, it was, right there on that page. It was like, well, how far is this? Oh, it's 30 feet. It's just, and the other thing that I liked,
There we go.
from a rule perspective, is that, I mean, our sessions, like 3 hours at the most.
2.5 to 3, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And we could get a lot done if we weren't shopping. We had a lot of, combat was fairly quick. Although sometimes we get teleported someplace we didn't want to be.
And too, yeah.
Or we get, but it wasn't like the combat lasted for 2-3 hours, which, in other games it can last a long time.
Yeah.
And
I thought combat moved pretty swiftly. I thought it and it was easy to kind of run too. There wasn't much to it.
Yeah. Probably the biggest struggle was probably when the party got split. And I felt it for Tim, because Tim had to run basically running 2 different scenarios, 2 different sessions, within the game. And so, but that's, decisions were made. What can you say? I mean, that's just where you're at.
Right. No, that was tough for me for a while, but not because I didn't enjoy both of it. Like I said, we have such a limited time gaming, and I want to make sure everybody gets in there. And if I'm running with, the Joe and Taryn, then Blaga and Draymond are kind of on pause. And and I don't like to have players sitting around. I mean, I know some players like enjoying watching the other players play and seeing what the hell's going on with them and doing that and everything like that. For this group, I didn't have that problem with it, but it also slowed down the pace of the progress for you guys also to be able to move to the next part of it. And I probably focused on that maybe a little bit too much. I think I may be worried about it too much instead of letting it flow. And Joe would like to know his shopping trip saved your asses.
Yeah.
Isn't that the RPG he's working on? Isn't it RPG shopping the RPG?
Yeah. It's basically setting is a implied setting is a Costco, I believe.
Where we have to roll for samples.
Isn't it big
impulse buying pallet of toilet paper?
Big boxes and strip malls, isn't that the name?
That's right. Yes.
Go. Right. Every location on the map is a shopping area. It's just
your encumbrance is one of those big carts. You got to push through. I like watching them play. No biggie.
Where there was,
this wasn't happy. Definitely. Meathead sections. You guys definitely got the better half of that.
It was also interesting, just randomly, that the 2 fighters were in and the
Right.
two spellcasters were
Yeah.
paired up essentially. And so that changed the dynamic a little bit.
Well, and also the two shortest people had to plow through the snow.
Yeah, exactly.
True. Yeah.
Well, and Tim could have pulled a Deus Ex Machina, right? It could have been, but he didn't, right? He just let it, that's, you let it play out. That, I mean, you didn't. Now, you did not. I don't think you, prodded in any particular direction, because we didn't find nobody discovered the card, right, until the third session, right, until there was like.
Yeah, Joe brought it out of nowhere because that was the one that was even though I was trying to think of possible solutions, even though like I create problems, I don't create the solutions.
That's right.
And so, but I couldn't help myself. I was thinking, how am I going to get these guys, back together and everything, and what possible things? And the only one I could think of is that stupid card. But you guys ignored the cards for the most part. If you guys got these things, I mean, once in a while you played them, but you saw how freaking chaotic they were when you used them. That it was, it was definitely not usually a good thing. Oh gosh. I may have to banjo, it's like, X card Joe from there. Yeah.
We're being assaulted in the chat.
Yeah. Yeah, as long as he doesn't show up in his leopard print Speedo, I think we're fine.
Oh God, yeah. Jeez, oh man. That'll fly you right back to Seattle in no time, wouldn't it?
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah.
That leopard is
I'm pretty tolerant, but even I've got my
cares were too scary.
Cards. I think you brought up
cards.
Yeah.
Cards were too
I'll be honest, I forgot I even had mine. I couldn't. I didn't even remember I had the card. Otherwise, I might have thought of that too, but maybe not.
Right. Well, but when he pulled it out, it was right time. I'm sorry, Ken. Go ahead, Ken.
I think one of the challenges that I had, and this is not like I felt like there underneath the world that there was some coherence of like certain kinds of spirit, like the spirit of the Komar forest, in the way it was represented by was that an ash elf?
Yeah.
No, the ones that were in the blue stuff there.
The Ken, ones that were like when
helping you.
Yeah.
Yeah, those weren't ash elves as you know them, but the elves that were in the Komar forest and the ash elves of those days were more related and together during that time before everything went to hell.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
so go ahead. I'm sorry.
The challenge, and this is always the challenge in a Tim world, is like I said, there's always a clock ticking. And I mean, this is one of the things I like is like you're forced to make decisions without all the information. You don't have the luxury of sitting around and saying, well, let's go to the library and look this up and let's talk with these sages and let's do this and let's do that. It's like all of a sudden there's a giant snowstorm and it's going to get way worse if you don't go back to the tower and do something. Yeah. And, there's always sort of this press for time, but I think it made it more difficult for us to figure out like the cards and some of the other things that would take some exploration, like going to some sage's library or some other
To figure out what the cards would do, you mean?
Yeah, or even why did we keep ending up when we were in certain places, we'd end up back, like we ended up back in the Komar forest. Like, why was that happening? What's the connection between one place and another? And what's like, why were all these demons there? And what's the relationship of the demons versus the Komar, the spirit of Komar Forest, is a forest under assault. Like, it was some of those things. I mean, in a way, they didn't matter because we were focused on dealing what was at hand. But I think if we were going to play a couple-year campaign, like, we would have to have time to tease that stuff out.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. I think, I was kind of looking at it in my final write-up and stuff, is that we left a lot of stuff on the table. I think, we didn't, solve all the mysteries. We didn't, tie everything up in a nice bow. I mean, I think we were probably mere moments away from getting Draymond's hammer when we got yanked back to Scorn, and then there was another couple of there was a couple of things like that dead elf that was a mystery, and there were some a couple other little things that would have either been interesting side quests or potentially other plot points and stuff. So
right.
Yeah. I was gonna ask Tim, which of those would you have liked to have seen us go? Were you crossing your fingers hoping that, well, I hope they go there?
No, I didn't have anything.
No.
I just kind of plant the situation, see what's going on, and I just play off of what you guys want to do, or find what interests you, see where you guys are interested, and then I build off of that. But things are there, things have happened, things are going to happen sometimes, regardless, of what you guys do. She was the lady in the armor. She was dead. She was there, and she was creative, kind of out of. I was setting up the mine itself, the Stone Toad mine there, and one of my little favorite things to do when I'm a GM is just put an odd random thing somewhere on the map that they might find or they might not. She was the random thing that you guys just found. Right. And I just had a little bit of I didn't know what her backstory was exactly, but I put a couple things on her for like points of interest. And the other thing I did too is just to check that maybe she'd been found. Maybe because she was close to the bugbears. Maybe the bugbears found her and looted her already, kind of thing. So I kind of play with that in my head, but I just make it, almost like, do a little solo play and like, did the bugbears find them? And then if they did, then you'd find that same loot inside the stone. You would have found that in the mine, but then you'd have no context with it.
Right.
Because it was taken off the body, or you might have, if you possibly found it, would know what it is. But did I care which one you guys did? No. I just was kind of interested to see which direction you guys were going to go. But I think the pace of the campaign may have been almost too fast in some ways, the way I ran it, because you never really guys got to, I think, sink your teeth into any one thing or take a direction in any one thing. Because it seemed like one time when you'd start doing something, you get sideswiped by something else, or and then go off in that direction, and then go off in that direction, which is no complaints, not a bad thing at all. But I don't think you guys got to funnel down on some of the stuff that you guys were doing.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Circumstances were, what they were. I mean, because they, like Ken said, things are always kind of moving, and everybody's kind of, going whichever way. And, we pick something and we just, we're going to go with that until we change our minds.
Well, and I didn't feel like, at least for me, that anything that I was doing was sort of like, well, you gave my character this thing to do, and yeah, it's all right. But like I felt like everything was organic to the setting. Like I didn't feel like I was being pushed or pulled in any direction
Oh, that's
except
good.
pulled forward at a very fast pace.
Right. Yeah. That's probably about I because I try not to, try to push or nudge anybody in any direction or anything. I want you guys to do it, but you guys are all very as players as a group. I mean, Joe's definitely the driving force of the group. I mean, he's the one who kind of is going to be the talk. I'm not saying he's going to be the leader, but he's going to be the talker.
Yeah.
of the group to prepare. So I always took that in consideration. You got to know your players too, and to kind of help you do stuff with how you're going to plan out a campaign. But I felt that no matter what I did or felt like I was going to go with, you guys were all on for the ride anyways. There was not going to be any little issue with anything not I haven't had really that happen to me too many times where somebody like actually throws a tantrum because, well, that's not fair. I haven't had one of those for a long time.
Yeah, we're not too
I had-
big.
Yeah. Because if you're looking for fair, my explanation for that, I said that's where you pet little ponies and get falafels. I said there's no fucking fair in this one. And if there is a fair in this one, there's probably assassins crawling behind the grandstand. So
I just remember when you were telling the story about the guy who banged his head on the table.
Oh God, yes.
Ended up sticking a D4 into his forehead.
Yeah, that was at a convention. Yeah,
how much you laughed, and I thought, well, I'm not going to argue anything.
Well, yeah, he was just he's just being. Oh yeah, that was just just a kid being stupid. Yeah. I don't know if I laughed, but I was just. Are you kidding me?
You probably
just. I may have. I mean, it depends on how big the kid. I couldn't remember how old the kid was. This is a long time ago. But Joe said, "Yeah, it didn't feel like a railroad. I was down for the ride." Well, then if you were down for the ride, that means you were on a railroad because you were riding the rails.
Riding the rails.
Yeah. Death fog. Yeah, the death fog was the one thing that was like during campaigns. I like to have some sort of event, whether it's a big event or a small event that kind of maybe threads its way through the campaign a little bit. You may not deal with it directly, but indirectly it'll have effects on what you're doing or what's going on around you. And the death fog was my plot thread or my mechanic that I use to kind of affect the campaign and see whether you guys dealt with it directly or just kind of dealt with it indirectly. It didn't really make any difference to me in that. So, but what was? Oh, go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say, from just talking about the world in general, I would have liked to have had, if you ever create one, a player's guide to whatever it is, like a player's guide to Scorn.
I usually do a player's guide for your character specifically.
Yeah.
I think Joe's showed you those ones. So like normally what I did, and for whatever reason, I got sick a few years back, Paul, and my ability to be able to, because I used to be one of those guys who could stay up till 2:00 in the morning, and then I would get up at 6:00 in the morning and do that. So I'd write up these players' guide. Anymore, my energy levels deplete very quickly. Everything. So I would do these. I think Ken, you've got one too. I did.
Yeah.
He did one on a. He played a halfling called. Was it Finkus Snotrags? Phineas Snotrags. So he was the Snotrag. So I made up an entire zine for Phineas Snotrags. I gave him his family. Gave him his family tree, the interactions with his family a little bit, the low hill where he lived, the interactions with the community, and then just stuff that he would know specifically, like what Phineas Snotrags, what personal knowledge would be about things.
Yeah.
And usually that's what I do with, and then it's also like a mini halfling guide to the Comor Forest also.
Right. And I think those individual guys absolutely has 100% value. But even a
You
general
want an overview. Yeah.
Well,
That's what I'm working on.
I would like the general, like, okay, in this world here, there's the Comor that we know of, right? Was the Comor Forest, there was Scorn, and then we just knew there was a few other, and Hound's Head, right?
Hound's Head was the main place in the Comor
Was the main place.
Forest,
So
right.
really, we at least in our adventures, was it 3 locations we had been to, maybe, except for maybe the Temple of Delaquain? But that was
you kind of dealt with a few of the minor things in between. You guys remember you guys had the Appalachia people in between.
Yeah,
a little bit. The creepy
weirdos.
Yeah.
The strange folks.
The hills have eyes, is what that felt like. I felt like I didn't feel safe at all.
felt a little uncomfortable in that situation.
A little uncomfortable, yeah.
Yeah. I wore 2 pairs of underwear when I walked through there.
That's right. Shoot.
Yeah, no, because of this campaign, that's what I'm doing now, Paul. I'm actually I showed you. I don't know. I'm for everybody. For my micro adventures, I've been writing micro adventures and micro locations and NPCs for a long time now. They all kind of intertwine with the Comor Forest in one way or form.
Right.
But I don't have anything. What is it called? Like collected into one thing. And I've been doing an index of all of my stuff. I think I was at number 74 out of 110 micro adventures, and then I got to do the micro. So I've got about another 100 or about 100 or so more things to catalog, to collect all the things and make them cohesive and that. So I am working on that, Paul. This campaign has made me make the world map. I never made the world map before, or I should say region map. It's I made that regional map there, and I'd never done that before. I kind of kept it in my head. But I didn't. It only would have just helped me figure out how I'm supposed to play. Well, play my character in the sense of I don't know what kind of world I'm in. I don't know how I'm supposed to act in relation to. Do I know anything about the Comor Forest? I mean, it felt like it did. I mean, I learned everything I was learning was brand new. Was like as a character. And I guess as a player, I wanted more information, more guidance,
to inform my character.
Absolutely, and that's why you would do those little micro zines and stuff like that. So that way you just didn't go in blank. You had something to, and a lot of times I would give you like allies, friends, enemies already established that would be worked in there and everything. But at the same time, I love what you brought to the campaign with the Doom Singers and Terran and all that whole, and every campaign, there's always somebody that brings in something that I was like, I got to integrate that and that. And then with Vance's thing too, I thought it was really cool about his whole using a bent fork as a focus. And that is so Goblin in my world, it just fits perfectly. Because like goblins, what I consider a parasitic race. Yeah. They basically take on whatever culture is around them. They don't really have any true goblin culture. They don't have any true goblin gods. They kind of just adapt to, if they're near orcs, they adapt to them. If they're by humans, they adapt to them. But it's always a caricature of it. So if they're worshiping your god and you have some ceremony, they're going to try to imitate their ceremony, but it's going to be very goblinized. So it's going to not quite come out like, maybe not quite what you expect and everything like that. But,
well, I'll go walking around with this fork. Always reminded me of Frank Azaria in The Mystery Men. Like he played Mr. Silverware or whatever he did. He would throw forks. And I thought, oh, that's what he's going to use that for. He's going to.
Yeah, I didn't not quite a step in that.
He was class
I
protected.
should have embraced that. I was, there was moments, but yeah.
Yeah.
Well, every time you cast your Merv magic missile, I just imagine you pointing your fork at somebody and little magic missiles coming out of each tine.
Each tine. Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm looking, yeah. There's a lot of dots on your regional map here that don't have city names on it.
Those are villages. Yeah. Those are yet to be named.
To be announced.
To be announced at a later time. They will be coming when needed or that. But like I said, that's why I'm going back into my stuff, because some of those are already named. I just don't know what they are. I got to go back and find them again.
Yeah.
Well,
I was going to say shout out to Joe real quick. He says that that I had played a great character, which I appreciate.
Yeah.
But I thought for sure, and I guess it's a conscious note on Tim's part, knowing how the end would be, maybe, that I did not go back to Hobbs, that Terran did not go off, that you had that messenger show up at that time so that Terran did not go off. Is that right? Was that a conscious decision then?
No, I don't. Wow. I mean, I'm trying to think. Replay that. I kind of remember the
Terran was going back to the Temple of Sareth, and you had a messenger show up, which I thought was a moment like you're saying, oh, no, let's go ahead and we're going to end this thing with Terran versus Hobbs at the end. And I thought, oh, that's fine, because I was going to go back to the temple, and then Hobbs was going to come out and do his thing, but then Terran wound up just hanging around.
Right. Well, I mean, but Hobbs wouldn't even been introduced to the party at that time, anyways, because he wouldn't have any relationship at that point. Well,
I was going to say, because of the time slip, right?
Right.
That he didn't know anybody.
Exactly.
So that played the factor too, I guess. That's like, well, I was going to go play Hobbs, but then I probably wasn't conscious of the time and thinking, oh, he doesn't know anybody. Nobody knows him either. Or I thought maybe he might be reintroduced somehow or something like that, maybe. But
like I said, I like Hobbs a lot, and I want to try to get with you sometime, Paul, and do what do you got? Duet gaming campaign.
Yeah.
Because what I'll like about that is I've never really, I have like most things I have a framework of like the Thieves World or whatever, a Thieves Guild, the Silent Knives, but with you playing one forces me to develop it and make it, and then I can really add some depth to it through play instead of just sitting by myself, twiddling my thumbs and coming up. I come up with so much better stuff during play than I do in my room. Yeah. By myself. So yeah, that's what I thought too, that you wanted him in again at the end, Tim. No, it's just the way it worked out. I didn't really choose to, I force it and everything. It's just the way the time that happened, because you guys screwed up with the time. And I tried to keep the whole time thing, because time stuff, when you start messing with it, it gets convoluted and
timey-wimey.
Timey-wimey, yeah. So I wanted to try to keep it very basic with some of the stuff and how it affected things. Was it probably the most consistent? No, because when you start messing with time stuff, there's always going to be inconsistencies and stuff. But I tried to keep it, like I said, as simple as I could.
Is there anything, Tim, that you did that had unintended consequences, in the sense that it was a choice on your part, but then it shifted, it made the party shift in some ways, like, oh, okay, well, I didn't know that was gonna. When the party, other than
that was it. When you guys fell in that teleportation thing, and I didn't realize how much. I guess I knew it was going to affect the party. I mean, of course, it was going to affect, but what I didn't expect is how disinterested you guys were into rejoining each other.
Yeah, that's good.
You guys had absolutely.
We're just going to keep going this way.
Right. You just had no interest.
Hammer, let's go this way. Let's keep going away
Right.
from those guys.
Yeah, you guys had no interest in
That's
getting
right.
back together.
That plays out because the meatheads and the magic guys, they were, we're just different people, I guess. We
I guess so.
We normally hang out together, right?
Right.
We're friends at school. You know,
the
you're
nerds
friends
and
at
the
school,
jocks
but outside of
just-
school, you'd never hang out with them. We're on an adventure, so we're gonna hang out with you.
Yeah, but it was just like I was waiting for you guys to, make some sort of attempt. And I'm like, these fuckers got no interest in getting back together. I was like, I'm gonna be running 2 groups now for the rest of this campaign.
Yeah.
And I mean, it was on both sides. It wasn't just the magic users.
Yeah.
It was they, Taryn and
In Colombo, yeah.
Colombo,
We're around the world.
you were shopping and beating shit up and having a great time. Yeah. Tim,
It's like
is there
we
any
disappeared and they could care less. More treasure for us.
right? Yeah.
More death for you as well.
Right. Yeah. You guys.
That's a fair trade.
Tim, is there anything any of us did that just annoyed you as a DM? No, there's nothing there. I'm trying to.
Well, I guess we'll have to try about it harder.
Right. I mean, really, the only thing that annoys me as a DM sometimes, well, mostly all the time, is if you're whining that, like I said, like things are unfair, or because I run a tough campaign. I don't run I don't think I run a soft campaign. Like I kind of keep the pressure on you guys, especially in this area. You guys are just in a, like when you guys are adventuring, you guys are in a particularly very primal area of the world. Like if you were more in the civilized lands, it wouldn't be as like brutal. You're not going to find dire deer that are 10 foot tall at the shoulder that you've got to run away from deer. But it is very satisfying as a DM to watch your adventuring party run away from a deer. There is some fun in that. I have to admit that.
There is.
There is. But what did he say? I had zero interest in diving into the Forest of Doom. Every time they took 3 steps, it was a Supermax prison shower scene. I believe Columbo was poking the bear. The bear was not poking Columbo.
Yeah.
You set the tone for that right away, Joe. And don't forget, we had no idea where they were. No, I know you guys didn't. I know.
Yeah,
but you guys
would have no idea how to do anything like that. We would have no idea how to get to them or even research what we were just that guys. We didn't know.
No, yeah, but you guys for half a minute thought you were going to go back up to that temple and try to find you guys, but you guys
rethought that.
Yeah,
but you spent time looking for Godfrey's wife.
You did.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. That ended up being the tie into don't forget we had no hell. They were last we saw they got sucked into hell. Yeah. They did. They got sucked into some weird place down there and everything. Is there anything that you guys that maybe I did that you didn't like or just didn't it didn't seem right? It doesn't mean like, maybe not seem right, but just seemed off. Like that doesn't seem consistent, or that doesn't seem like that works or something like that within the context of the game or anything like that. There's a few times I could think of where I felt like, that was a little off, but I'm just wondering if you guys had a,
I don't think so. Not for me anyway.
Yeah. I don't. Yeah, again, it's one of those things we don't necessarily have enough, in-depth knowledge of the, the forest or the setting and stuff like that. We're going to be, pulling out like an inconsistency or something like that. I think, I think we were all off balance enough that it was just,
Right.
Anything could be just kind of arm waved away if it kind of stood out one way or the other.
Well, and I felt like, because you had run a lot of games that I've played in, and you've used this setting
Multiple
before,
times. Yeah.
but the underlying mythology wasn't as apparent in some of those previous games. And
you felt like you got to funnel down a little bit more in this one, Ken?
Well, it was in our face. It wasn't so much like we were trying to, let's find out more about this. It was like, no, this guy's there's fog. Things are trying to kill us, or
people are melting. Yeah.
It just, but I think, and for me, I enjoy that. I actually enjoy not like feeling like I have to make like really quick decisions where I don't have to sit and think about, well, what's next for my character? How is he going to be fulfilled as a dwarf?
That's gonna be fulfilled.
For 3 sessions, all I wanted was a nap because I had 1 hit point and no spell.
Yeah.
Yes.
And, but that's part of the fun, is being kind of, the desperate. It's desperation, and yet if my character dies, it's like there's a good story there.
Yeah.
Like I am not one to weep or be somehow that you've intentionally killed my character.
Right.
And I think the word, when I think about what it's like to adventure with you as when you're running the game, is the world is not malevolent, it's belligerent.
That's a good description.
I was gonna say, yeah, that's probably.
And it's funny because that's the kind of characters you play as well.
I play belligerent characters.
We feel like your world bullied us basically the entire time. Is what we're saying. Is you constantly came up and stole our lunch money, and poked us and said, "Do something about it."
Right. Yeah.
And drew lines in the sand and dared us to cross them.
Right.
The constant state of noogie, I think, was.
I got a swirly,
Joe asked putting Tim's Grimm's dark setting aside, can Shadowdark be used for a heroic style D&D game, do you think?
I don't know. I think the kind of the implied setting based on how Kelsey wrote up the stuff in the book does have a little bit of that grimdark bend to it. That said, I think you could probably make it a little bit more. It's still. It's like we were playing. We were still, kind of getting run roughshod. So I think it. I'm not sure how, depending on how you define a heroic style game, I guess. You're still kind of rough.
Yeah.
I think you'd have to. I don't think Shadowdark's really. It's not a system for heroic style of play.
I think you'd have to tweak the magic system so that if you failed a spell, you didn't lose it, so that your wizards are much higher powered. You would have to critically fail to lose a spell.
Right.
Even before short rest, you just fail. If you fail, you fail, but you can cast it again. I think that there would have to be some other. I mean, I think it's possible. I think if you wanted that type of, if you really wanted that type of game, I think that there are other, you could certainly play 5e because that's not, I mean, it's not
Right.
like this feels very different from 5e, even though a lot of the rules are derived.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I think I mean, it's almost like trying to fit a square peg in a round hole. Trying to play. You could do it, but you'd have to shave it down or make a bigger hole for it to work. You'd have
Yeah,
to do some work to do it.
and I think Joe's when and I only had a limited amount of time playing in his 2e game, but that is much more I think you have the ability to really tweak your character, with proficiencies and doing a lot of other things that you're just going to end up being more, your character is going to be more reliable. Like I felt like in Shadowdark, your characters are just sort of inherently unreliable.
Well, especially spellcasters.
Yeah.
As
Yeah.
people
As people are, she's.
What was that?
Shadow is just saying that people are, it's just like people that they're inherently unreliable.
Yeah, exactly. It's like
Well, and I think in Shadowdark too, I think you're either heroic or you're dead. I think there's only really two options, because if you survive,
Right.
That's heroic. I mean, if heroic is by definition is I can do whatever I want. I am, super powerful all the time. I'm on this, what do they say? If you're playing in a 5e type of thing, you have if you're high magic or high heroic, you have a destiny. I can't remember who said this. I want to say it's the Legion of Myth guys, that there's some sort of destiny you're forwarding to.
Mm-hmm.
Versus other games, versus a grimdark game or a gritty game, your survival is day to day. You're not on a destiny arc. You're not destined for level 20 of whatever you're doing. You're just day to day trying to make it work.
Right. Oh, I agree. Yeah, I don't know again, because it depends on your definition of heroic. But yeah, I think I know what Joe's talking about. He likes to have the gritty starts and the heroic endings. But I for me, like, a heroic ending doesn't have to be like campaign altering or world altering. They can just
I
be.
thought it was heroic.
You can't hear that.
I mean,
I did too.
I mean, yeah, I guess you guys did. You guys had like grand endings in this one, one way or
100%.
another.
We didn't survive it.
No, but aren't great heroes that are, you remember great heroes in their deaths, right? I mean, that's what makes them heroic in a way.
See?
That's right. Except Columbo. Columbo didn't die, so
Tragic.
he's just
nobody talks about him.
That's because he ran away or something.
Nobody talks about Columbo. Oh, he lived.
right.
Yeah, the least reliable narrator was left to tell the tale.
That's right.
Yeah, he took credit for the whole thing.
That's right.
He certainly did, without a doubt.
There's a suspicion that probably is out there. There are rumors that Columbo either ran away or killed his own party. So there's rumors.
Sacrificed them in order to seal the.
Right. They wouldn't go shopping with me. They wouldn't go shopping with me, so I murdered them. I murdered them all. And there's rumors floating around Scorn.
It wouldn't help carry the groceries.
That's
I think
so funny.
well, it's one of the things that I said, and I don't know if I picked it up from somewhere else. I just kind of came up with it on my own. But with respect to like a gritty play versus like a heroic play, or an OSR versus like a more of a modern style game of there's there's the play style where you build your backstory and all that stuff in your care gen, and have that destiny implication kind of thing, like Paul said, and then there's like this play style where your backstory is developed by your play, or your story is developed by your play,
Like it develops the story
right,
as
and
you play.
yeah, so you're both affecting the world, and the world's, and that's kind of stuff that I obviously I prefer. So that's so something like this does have that kind of attraction to me.
Yeah. For that.
Well, I think that like your character is who your character is based on what happens in game. How you're relating to somebody else's character, how like, oh, I survived that, or I didn't survive that, or or we came back and we lost all our money again.
Yep.
And
Right.
and that's sort of where, as opposed to me saying, I was, born a poor dwarf, but secretly I have the bloodline of a king, and and you have all this destiny that you yourself wrote into the character from the beginning.
Yeah.
Which is fine. I mean, that's one way to play. I don't have
Right.
any. I have preferences, but I don't have, one's not better. And I think 5e lends itself to that, because the focus of 5e is much more about what players get to do outside of the gaming session. Like, okay, now I get it. I'm third level now. I have to decide, do I want this path or this path, or do I want this path or this path? And so you're constantly making decisions about building your character. And, when
Sure.
your character class description is half a page of big print.
Yeah.
Big
Like in
print.
Shadowdark, there's not really much you can, you can't sit there and daydream about, well, what if my character could do this? And do I want feats, or do I want, more of this?
Yeah, it's a good point, because I think it's true too. I think Tim told me, not to write, a huge backstory. I think it was like 3 things or something like that, maybe, that he told me about your character, because there's nothing more disappointing than trying to play a heroic character in a gritty world, because you're going to be sadly disappointed. And I think the reverse is true. If you play a gritty character that in a heroic setting, then I think you're going to be disappointed there as well. So I think you have to come in. Every player has to come in knowing the system you're playing and the kind of character that's gonna bring that's gonna going to be most satisfying for the system you're playing in.
Yeah.
Well, I personally believe it's really important for the group to sort of have some sort of, I mean, you don't even have to have a conversation about it, but there has to be some sort of consensus that this is the kind of game we're going to be playing.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah. And probably one of my favorite moments didn't even happen in the campaign, or it happened during the I think during one of the one shots, Ken, was you, Joe, and his brother, and you guys, they of course completely got sidetracked by Harlow. Remember Harlow?
Yeah.
The weird little halfling guy, and I can't even remember what the main quest is offhand, but so they're going through there, they're investigating Harlow, and then they go in there and they beat up Harlow, and they find out he's up to no good, of course, and then they have this dark basement that Harlow has, and Mike wanted to go down in, and both Joe and Ken in unison are like, no, 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 what are you doing? And he's like, what are you talking about? He's like, no, you don't do that. It's like, you're gonna get us killed. And it was just so funny watching people who played in my campaign compared to people who haven't played in my campaign, how they react with that. But yeah, that was pretty funny. But that kind of sets the tone for that. But no, it's fun. It's good when you can run a kind of a rough game and just have fun with it. Because I don't know, I'm not much into I don't mind heroic games. I don't. I like playing in them, and I know what Joe's talking about there. But I don't ever want anything like. Do you guys ever play? What was that? EverQuest? Was that the name of the video game? Did you guys either one of them?
Yeah, I don't think so.
So basically, things would get. You'd have to go into certain regions to make it. So if you were 10th level, if you stayed in this region, it was too easy. But if you went to the next region, then it was just your size. Where if you went to the next regions, it'd be too hard. I never liked that kind of game. I never like if you're 10th level or a 10th level fighter. I want the players also to have that experience of. Do you remember the old AD&D rule? If you were whatever level you were, you got that many attacks against critters that were
Right.
one
The
hit
kind
dice
of
or less.
rules. Yeah.
Right. And how many times did you actually get to use that during game? You rarely fought when you're that high level. You rarely fought that. I always want to give the players that experience of having a two-handed sword, being 10th level, and going after 100 goblins and just whacking them. Just
Right. And still
I
getting
mean,
worn down because eventually a couple of them are going to get through and
right.
stab
Yeah,
you.
you're still going to get, and they might have poison daggers or something. You're still getting risk at it. But just having that experience of just being able to just Conan the shit out of something, having that full on experiences, and that's one part of the reason why I like to kind of do a bit of a faster progression, because I want you to guys have those badass moments where you can, well, there's a small army of orcs coming towards you,
Yep.
and just be able to drop a fireball right in the middle of them and watch them just kind of, crisp in front of your eyes and just kind of have those badassery moments instead of just when you have, now that you're fireball, now you're going against creatures that maybe there's only one or two, they're a little tougher and they just don't have the effect. I like to have players to have that badass experience, but I also like to have them, get nervous when they still are going against goblins, even at 10th level.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I have that challenge, that problem with my game. My campaign is like, my players are playing, BX, and everybody's around 6th level, give or take. But yeah, it's like, God, I had like 4 characters. I had like 3 people, 3 players and a couple of NPCs, and they basically one-shotted a 9-hit die monster that I rolled against them last
right.
time. And so I have a hard, it's one of those things. I have a hard time making stuff kind of, tough enough, essentially, or keeping that nervousness, but also that recognition. If you're going against even a single fairly powerful creature, you're still going to be able to, dogpile it.
Right. Exactly. Yep. So quick question about next week, guys. So
Yes.
all right. So who's going to run next week? Is it going to be Flint or is it going to be Vance? Tick tock, tick tock.
Oh God. I think it's God. I don't know what speaking of which, I don't know what I had.
What would Vance, what would you run?
Vance has got a ton of one shot or short adventures.
But which system would he run?
I would probably either use BX or Shadowdark, because they're
okay.
I can use either one pretty much interchangeably.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no absolutely.
And probably just make 2nd level characters and
okay.
Yeah, well, I would vote for that only because the thing that I'm going to run, I'd like to send you guys and give you guys a little time and send you an email and send you kind of
Sure.
the world, because it's such a bizarre. It's not a bizarre system. It's just a bizarre world. Huh?
Yeah, are you going to send us a Joe style, campaign notebook?
No.
Home rules.
I'm just
house
gonna.
rules.
It's gonna have.
No one told me there was going to be reading.
Yeah, I'm just gonna say here's what I have. Make your character, and then don't tell me what it is until you're introduced. And then if you have questions, you just ask me questions.
Right.
Yeah.
So Vance, you'll run. Did you decide whether it'll be BX or Shadowdark? What do you want to do?
Let's see. Let's do Shadowdark just since we've been playing it.
Second level Shadowdark characters?
Yep.
Okay, very cool.
And if you're running anything that's in out of the Cursed Scrolls, you trust that you will know what you're doing, because I'm not going to look at everything.
All right. I'll probably just run something straight out of the basic.
Yeah.
I'll play something I haven't played. That'd be, I'll play. I haven't played a cleric. Yeah, I think that's the only thing I haven't played yet. I don't think I've played I just don't think I've
like
played
you, Vance. I love the randomness of it, so I'll probably do a little quick video of it. I'll roll it randomly everything. So I'll do it 6 straight down the line. Even if he's got like 4s and everything, I'm still gonna play the little fucker.
Oh yeah.
And I'll randomly roll up the race, the only thing I might not randomly roll is the class. So I'll just base that off of there. But pretty much everything else I'll do random. Because even if it's a spellcaster, I'm going to randomly roll those too.
Perfect.
Which spells he gets. Yeah.
So
I was going to ask you if you have a preference that we all play something different, or does it matter?
I don't care. Yeah. Because that's how I run my one shots. It's like the only thing that's guaranteed is if there's no cleric in the party, you're going to be in a barrow.
Oh, good to know.
Well, as a former cleric, that doesn't necessarily mean anything.
I had to show that hand.
Did you hear what Ken said?
So I'll have to I'll kind of figure out which one of my little one shots it would be fun to run through, and then I'm pretty much a Luddite with respect to roll 20 and stuff like that. So it may be theater of the mind. It may be me whiteboarding some circles and arrows.
I was gonna say, if you just want to do theater of the mind and we could just use roll 20 for dice, we can just do that if you want, Vance.
Yeah, we can do. Yeah, let's shoot for that.
And that'll
I'll
keep
run.
it easy.
Oh yeah, there we go.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
The evil little DM chuckle there.
Yeah. No, I think I might know which one we're.
The only thing I ask, Vance, is don't use one of my own maps against me.
I'm not going to use your own map against you.
Joe does that to me all the time.
Yeah, use one of those belligerent maps.
Yeah, exactly.
I love it. Belligerent, huh? All right. I'm just going to argue about everything.
Yeah, I'll either use Dyson or fake Dyson.
Fake Dyson there. That's funny. But all right, that sounds good. All right. I'm trying to. All right. I don't know. I guess that's good for now, guys. What do you think?
I think we summed it up. I think
we did too.
Yeah, really appreciate the being able to do a post-mortem.
Yeah, I like doing that.
Yeah, pretty much. Literally, it's a post-mortem.
That pretty much is and everything.
I'm going to do a solo campaign called Terran in Hell. He lives down there.
Well, Blogger could do one. It could be Blogger kills Terran. Hunts Terran. Yeah.
It's Terran versus Blogger, right?
Yeah,
Because
it'll just be.
Go ahead.
Yeah, it's kind of like
guess,
the
guess
duelist,
who's showing up?
just like
Guess
these.
who shows
Have to
up? Couldn't
defend
help
Columbo's
himself.
reputation against
Money.
all this slander.
Money.
All the slander. Plus, I just got back from the gym.
So yeah,
that's
my
right.
thing is I'm gonna do it's gonna be Terran. It can be Terran versus Blogger, or Terran's being hunted by Blogger, because the rule
Right.
in the movies is if you don't see them die,
They don't die.
they're not dead.
Nah, no,
There is a
exactly.
sequel. There is a sequel that could happen. So in my mind, solo play happens with Terran in hell.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's like the comic book rule. The only character that stays dead is Uncle Ben.
Uncle
It's true. That's true.
or he's just perpetually dying.
Yeah,
He's just
exactly.
dying. I mean, it's worse than that. He's just always getting killed. Every edition.
I got a
Every
question for you
issue.
guys, because Tim was saying what his favorite moment was with my brother. I remember that. It's been so fucking long. I thought my brother started. I forgot he started this with us.
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
I think he played 2 sessions and that, and it was just so funny. Listen to you guys. I mean, it was in unison. You're just like, no,
No,
and
one
you
does
guys
not
were
do
trying
that.
to warn him.
Yeah. It's like the whole Lord of the Rings. One does not simply walk into Mordor. One does not simply jump into a pit in Tim's game. It just doesn't happen. But I was wondering, because I heard Tim's favorite moment. What's your guys' favorite moment of the whole campaign? I know what mine is. Mine is a series of them. I'm curious what you guys have. If there was any, I can start with mine. Was all of Columbo's interactions with Terran were fun. I loved busting his balls the whole time.
Yeah.
It was just, and his reactions were right on point. It was like this,
Right.
It was like the respect of 2 badass warriors. One a little bit brain damaged, the other one a little bit finger challenged, and it just, he got along well.
Right.
Yep.
That was
Those were fun to
those were good.
to
That was my
Pissing on
favorite
Columbo
time.
was pretty fun.
What do you guys think, though? Vance, Ken, from Paul, what'd you think?
Yeah, I think pissing on Columbo was fun.
Yeah, that was a high point. It
was
really
a high
set the
point.
tone for our campaign.
Yep. That was epic.
There you go. Highlight the campaign. You draw it in a picture. There you go.
I think I liked when I killed the horse.
Yes.
And what makes it funny is you have to understand, like, even in game, it's a fictional horse, and I'm like, oh man, the horse, the horse. Like, if it was a person, I could care less, but
Yeah.
a horse.
The only innocent thing you met during the entire campaign, and Ken murdered it.
The only innocent thing in the Comor Forest.
Right. Exactly. Yep. Oh yeah.
That's
I'd forgotten about the horse.
That horse was
Slayer.
the hope of the world. That horse was going to save the Comor Forest. We didn't know that, but then Ken killed it, and that was it. Now the Comor Forest is doomed.
well, and that also sort of set the tone for my spell casting the whole campaign.
It didn't get better.
No.
Nope.
Oh gosh, yeah, I don't know. I'm spinning back through my memory, my blog entries here, and yeah, just yeah, like I think there's the whole theme of like how many times could he be on the edge of death,
Right.
or dead.
Yeah, like him
the
going to
answer
hell
is
was just like going visiting again. I was like,
Right,
I've been
it
here
was just
before.
like, yeah, it's old home week, that sort of thing, And
Yeah.
yeah, I like going out in blaze of glory at the end. I think, that is one of the great classic ways and to finish a campaign out of just, what you need to do to, solve this thing, and you might need to do some ultimate sacrifice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's the fun thing too for me. Now I'm going to write up kind of a Blaga is now going to become sort of like minor lord of the abyss.
Yeah,
sure.
He's going to have his thing, and he's going to, have his own little power of influence, and
Right.
just be a thing that might show up later on. Whatever.
There's a
Although
case to be
Eleanor's
made.
death was pretty
That was Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That was a
Eleanor's-
tragedy.
Was that
Yes.
quite
Crowd surf to death.
Crowd surfed to death, never to be seen again.
Yeah.
I mean, and what it took for her to die, what the amount of
Failures.
terrible failures and the descending doom that happened to her was just it was unavoidable. It was like
It was.
like watching Final Destiny or Final Destination, where death is simply going to have its way. And there's the bowling ball is going to roll and it's going to hit the candle and set the thing on fire, and you think you've escaped, and then suddenly the chandelier falls on you, and that's how Eleanor dies. I think just in a Final Destination type of way.
Yes.
Tim's game is like Mousetrap, isn't it? That remember that child's game?
Yeah.
Right. You know what happens? Shit's in motion. At the end of the day,
Well, let's face it too. A lot of the stuff that you guys did caused those things to happen.
yeah, maybe.
It wasn't just me being wicked and evil, although I lean into that. But
well, and I've noticed for myself is my characters are almost always the opposite of my personality in real life, in the sense that I tend to be fairly cautious, and I like to understand what's happening before I make decisions. Things like that. And like Draymond would just like, oh, that guy doesn't look good. That person looks evil. I'll just attack.
That's true, Ken. Even in my game that you played briefly at the end there, when I threw the portal up there and I had Hugo say, "Come on, what are you waiting for?" You're like, "All right." And I'm like,
first one through, yeah.
All right, let's go in. The rest of the group's like, "Fuck you, Cthulhu land." We're not going.
Yeah, one of my favorite moments in the campaign is, I think, one of the first sessions with I think it was you and Paul, when you were still playing Eleanor, and you guys were in the tavern, and you guys saw this Sarah.
Oh man, that was awful. That was like a comedy of errors.
It was so bad.
But later on,
so funny.
But later on, then meeting the Sarahs, meeting those type of warriors, that makes entire sense now. That makes 100% sense that we couldn't do anything, that we suck terribly.
We're trying to intimidate them, and we end up on the floor under the table.
Smacking my head on the table, trying to do cool stuff, and they're just laughing at us. And they walk out unharmed, and we're just laying in a puddle of our own, piss.
Yeah, you guys are right, and then you're yelling at me, "Yeah, don't come back."
From the ground. Yeah, you.
That's right.
Yeah. Got dirt in your teeth. Don't come back again.
Right.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Right. The case can be made that Vance was really the Wolverine of the group. In the movies, he's always dying.
That's true.
Right. In every movie, he's
true.
And I think what's happened is that Blogger was having visions. Like when he was dying, he was getting visions of Jean Grey calling to him.
Right.
And it was really just hell. That was like, come over here, Blogger, join me. And you're like, no, I cannot come yet. I cannot go to you. I have more to do here, Jean Grey.
My work is not yet done. Yeah.
My work is not yet done. That's right.
Well, the funny thing was, when I was doing my post game write-ups and stuff, I would often reference, I've got one of my D66 lists is visions of the afterlife, and like roll one, and then Blog is out there with fire breathing horses, and now he's back, and now Blog is out with a bunch of old rock musicians, and now he's back.
Right. That's funny.
I was wondering, Tim, you sped up this game, you said, in terms of the XP speed and all that.
I did.
What do you think? What like X? How many X's? You know what I'm saying?
Probably 2 to 2.5.
I was wondering, because I forgot about that as we were playing, because I don't have anything to compare it to. Because it's the first Shadowdark, I don't know that it should be slower, right? But it doesn't necessarily have to be slower.
because like you remember in the other game that you played, was it the OSE games?
Yeah, you sped that up a little bit too.
Yeah, but it just depends on, like, if I really want to slow down a game, I do what you do, Joe. It's like I get the pool of XP, and then everybody divides it amongst themselves.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. Where this one, everybody just got, if everybody went there, they got points, or did that kind of thing. Mark liked Angry Bob as the NPC. Hated everybody. I did like playing Angry Bob. I have to admit, Angry Bob was fun to play.
How about? I was wondering, Tim, as a corollary to that question, for the casters in the group, because one of my things about the spells was that besides the failure, it's the lack of variety, right? And that's one thing I have against old school essentials too: lack of variety of spells and this and that.
Yeah.
For the casters, do you think you would have been bored with the lack of variety had this game taken 2.5 times longer to get to where we got?
No, because I would have introduced other spells.
Okay, all right.
I probably would have started making spells, and I probably would have had, and then I also probably would have spells as treasure too more. Yeah, and I didn't do that enough. I think that was one of the things I think I didn't do very well, is be able to introduce some magics for Blogget to take advantage of. And something a little, because I mean, the way I make my magic stuff, it's, there's always a risk. There's always a little bit of a, get some, you lose some kind of thing with magic items. But I think I could have made a little bit more lower level magic items or some sort of thing that had a benefit without you guys having to worry of, is my hand going to melt off in, 4 games?
Yeah.
Kind of thing. So I thought those kind of things I could have improved on, but I see. I don't have a problem with the variety of spells because I think people can use them more creatively. Because I allow a lot of latitude. If you just have to, so if you want to try something with a spell, or if you want to try something and you want to do it, absolutely, I might increase the difficulty level a little bit, but I'm usually, if you guys can think of something good, I'm always usually willing to, give it a go. Sure. Let's do that. But, and I let you guys drive that. Like, say you're playing a magic user, Joe, and you want to, you say you were getting bored of the spell variety and you wanted to go research spells. Let's do this. Let's go look at some, then probably what I would do is say, okay, maybe you become a guild member of the Guild of Arcane Lore. And what we do is I would talk to you, Joe, and it's like, all right, let's come up with like 3 spells before next game session. And we would just sit down and hash them out. And these are the 3 spells that you have for, that you found during that time or whatever. But now I don't, and then the way with everything's coming out these days, because Shadowdark is coming out with a lot of third-party stuff, a lot of different things, that there's so many different spells that you could choose from, just like from this Unnatural Selection book. I can't remember, but there's like 100 and some spells in this that have nothing to do with the spells in there. You go to, I think Greg's, does Greg's have any extra spells in it?
Greg, what? Greg publishes shit?
A few things. Yeah. A couple things here and there. Yeah. But I think his might have some magic items, and then, all the different classes that are in the Cursed Scrolls have different magic items. And like I think I did with Ken's character too, say you were a cleric, but you wanted to learn maybe the switch spell because it kind of maybe fit the aspect of your god. Absolutely. Let's bring it in. We'll just drag it in there, and you could use that one for it. I am, rules are fluid.
Yeah.
For the most part, or like those particular ones. I mean, there's some things you definitely have to, abide by and everything, but you got to be flexible enough, like, and allow the players to, I don't know, why you might not be like the big badasses like in 5e where you have stuff. I want you to have the ability to take advantage of your class as at a potential that you want to take advantage of. If you want a variety of spells, I want you to be able to have that. We'll figure that out. Say Vance wants to have a spell, you know, he doesn't care about variety, but he wants to soup up his magic missile into a small missile launchers. I got no problem with that. We'll develop that out and everything. And I like that because then your magic user, even though you guys are maybe drawing from the same pool of spells, you're very different casters at the same time because you're personalizing it to how you like to use that character.
And I think that's why the game was fun because, like, yeah, as you know, I don't like Shadowdark per se, but it was still fun playing with you as a DM and these guys as players because they're all good and you do shit like that. But as written with Shadowdark, do you think that's a defect?
What, the lack of spells?
The lack of spells and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. Do you think that would be, if you played it by the book as written kind of thing, you know, because most DMs, new DMs are coming into this stuff, right? They might have played 5e for a couple of years. They heard of this OSR. Here's Shadowdark that bridges the gap between 5e and the OSR from what they've heard. They're going to dive in and they're used to certain things in 5e, right? They're used to starting as heroes and ending as superheroes, where Shadowdark, you start as gritty, you end grittier. Right. You know what I mean? And so I wonder if if that would be, I mean, obviously he's getting a lot of praise and people are loving it, but it's the latest shiny, right? At the same time. Now I wonder if it's a fatal defect or not a fatal defect, but a defect that hinders the game's potential.
I'm going to let Vance answer that because he is definitely shaking his head.
Yeah, he's got a whole lot of activity up there.
I mean, my attitude towards like this and OSC, which is what my home campaigns run on, is that you know, and of course, which leans back, of course, to BX and stuff. You know, is that these are a game's rules system's a chassis. You know, and you've got your base. You've got your here's a suggested list of 10 or 12 spells per level. You know, that you can start out with, and then like my OSC game, I poured in 1E spells. You know, I've got a bunch of Necromancer and Vivimancer spells that I use against my characters or my PCs. So none of that is a flaw. If you want to you want to bring spells in because they add utility or they add color or they add something like that, or something else, some other mechanic or something like that. As long as it doesn't break the original chassis, or system.
The way I see it too, Joe, like what you were talking about with the, I think it can work the other way too. I think having too much shit can break the system. Like just as a weird reference to it, but remember the good old, Magic the Gathering back in the day. I had alpha stuff. I had it when it first came out. I had the alpha decks and the beta decks.
You'd have a mansion right now if you didn't get rid of that.
I know if I had those. This was once made me cry. I had 2 beta Black Lotuses, which are worth about, I don't know, I think 30, 40 grand right now each. Makes me sick to my stomach to even think about it. But who fucking knew that was going to be that valuable now? That's nuts. But anyways, when they started adding all those extra spells, I lost interest in the game. I couldn't keep track of them.
So I never played it. I don't know.
Well, just imagine like you go from 100, let's say it's 100 spells.
Yeah.
And then it's like they added another splat book, and now you got to deal with 50 other spells. Then they put another one out, and another 50 spells, and they interact sometimes with each other, and it just got to the right, and it just got to. That's what I find spells are a lot of times in games. I think you have a utility belt. You get your Batman utility belt of spells. And you find creative ways to use those spells.
I get that. But what I was more focusing on, I know what you're saying, because Vance, what you're saying, what Tim is saying, the same thing. But if you look at this group, we probably have a cumulative 200 years of gaming experience right now in this group, right? Mm-hmm. Now, if you look at the average 5e group that came over to Shadowdark, you might have 20. Right. And so while we can riff off of that and use it as a chassis and do all these creative things and play off whatever the hell you're going to do, because we've got 200 years experience, and it takes not only a good DM with a lot of experience, but a good players with a lot of experience to roll with that. Right. An average group. I wonder if Shadowdark would be more appealing to an average group of 5e converts if it had more meat on the bones. not just spells, as a default. I'm not talking about 1,000, but you throw in 15 spells per level and a few more abilities for the PCs as they go up in level. I wonder if more
Paul.
meat would attract more 5e players.
What do you think, Paul?
Minimal experience.
You got experience with both those things.
I think it would be, if you had more spells, if you had, the groups that I've played with it thus far were not necessarily 5e players. So they had played probably, but they weren't regular players with it. I think you could, I think, I've heard where people love the fact, that death is, certainly right around every corner.
Yeah.
But I think if you added the spells, I think if you expanded just a little bit, you probably could, do that. You probably could attract more of those type of players to the game. I'm certainly it would, play different, which would be the point.
Yeah.
And survivability and all that stuff would go, your survivability goes up.
Just a sense of variety too, and less boredom. Oh, I'm going to do this because that's all I can do, and I can't do anything more for 5 more levels. You know what I mean? It's like that, and I got my 4 spells, and I hope I get 5. I wonder if more variety, more meat on the bones gives you more, because I know it's a creativity, and that takes, like I said, experience, both players and DMs.
Yeah.
But for an inexperienced group, you're not relying on creativity. You're still relying on looking at the sheet.
Right. Well, that's what I was going to say. It would be up to the DM just to kind of teach them not to find solutions on their character sheet.
What you don't have is power creep, though.
You don't.
That's the issue. Right. And whereas you start adding more things, then the power creep starts to get a little bit higher as other games do.
Yep. Yeah, that makes sense.
Well, and I think, and I don't know about what it felt like from like Vance's perspective playing a wizard, but there aren't that many cleric spells that are if you're playing 5e, I guess you have a couple spells that you can use every round. Was it spiritual hammer or something like that?
Yeah, the cantrip kind of stuff.
Yeah, cantrip stuff. And so, in 5e, I think that the difference between the two is in 5e, I don't necessarily, I think it's a feature or a bane, depending on how you view gaming, is in 5e, every character class can do something every round.
Yeah.
And they're called different things, and they're like little fiddly bits that make them a little different, but they're all sort of the same. At a certain level, you can do this amount of damage.
Yep.
From a distance, and and in this game, like, I didn't feel as a cleric like I was running like, oh, I wish I could do something different.
Except not fail.
Yeah. Because the reality is there aren't that many cleric spells that, you can only take so many with you.
Yeah.
Right.
And so there aren't that many. You're going to have some sort of healing. And maybe some sort of attack spell and some sort of protection spell. And then when you have space for it, some sort of knowledge gaining spell, and that's about it. And so, so there doesn't have to be, well, today I'm going to cast my green magic missile, or
yeah.
But I think I guess I'd be interested from Vance's perspective, from playing a wizard. It seems like that could be more limited.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, obviously I put limiters on my more limiters on my guy by rolling my spells randomly and not.
I cringed every time you said you were going to do that. I just enjoyed. Oh,
I could feel Joe cringing through the computer.
God, I tried to hold it, but every
Yeah.
time it's like my ass just, you know.
Yeah.
Hell, man.
So yeah, no. So he didn't get like a fireball or something
Yeah.
like that. No, he was like, and it would have been interesting. It would, I didn't really use my higher level spells at the end, but it was interesting, how that would have informed the character. That's kind of the way I was approaching it too. But but yeah, I think that's the thing when you have like, just a handful of tools in the drawer, you figure out how to make them work for your your scenario, and so I actually like that, that the basic spells that they have in here aren't just straight ported over from like BX or something like that.
Yeah,
they actually had a little
They're
stuff.
very open.
They had a few of the others that are from not just even not even stuff that's just like from 1E. So
yeah, they're well written in a sense that you can do what you want with them. They're not like it's not 9 paragraphs for the sleep spell of what you can or can't do and who it affects and who doesn't affect and how long. It's like it puts people to sleep. Right. Well, it's more than that, but you know what I mean.
Right.
It gives you flexibility to fuck with it. Basically, that's kind of
right.
Mhm.
Yeah,
absolutely. All right. Well, I think that's a good place to end it, guys. Very good there. We're 2 hours, 15 minutes about just talking shit about a game instead of playing it. Always fun to do.
It's fun.
So
no,
I like to. 3. We're down to 3.
So that's all of us watching our channels.
Maybe.
We're talking to ourselves right now. Boys.
I don't have any channels up right now. So
I do that all the time anyway. So
yeah. So all right. Do you guys want to pimp anything before we go?
Well, don't forget, you can get your Terran
That's
Doomsayer
right.
T-shirt.
That's awesome.
That's right. There it
That
is.
awesome.
I got the black. It's in the wash right now. You're gonna get it all washed up.
Where's the link?
The link is. Let me get it for you real quick. I'll put it in the chat there.
All right.
The private chat you're putting in?
Yeah, I'll put it in the private chat. That way Tim can
okay
push it out there if he wants to.
Yep.
And Tim's got stickers. Didn't you buy some stickers, Tim? Do you want to show those?
Yeah. Do I have them here? You know what? I think they're over here.
The stickers look really cool because they're die cut stickers. So it's
I don't see the link, Paul. Did you put it in the private chat?
No, I haven't put it in yet.
Oh, okay.
So so I think I got 10 for $9 or something like that. So they look like
nice.
Yeah. That's probably AI generated art there.
No, it's actually somebody drew this. It's all these come off of Canva. So I just went ahead and made
Canva.
So I made like 8 designs. That I put up there, and in the store, I think there's a few different ones that you can look at. Let me go ahead and I'll bring that up here.
Does it come in gamer black with multiple XLs?
Yes.
Yeah. Good. Because
that's the one I got, Joe, it's different. It's a different it's kind of a different Viking guy facing you in a circle, and it's black t-shirt, white lettering.
Well, here, let me can I bring up the site, Tim? Can I bring up the sticker?
Of course
that way I can show you.
Yeah. Let me show you on screen.
I love to bring that. All right. I love this shit.
So there are the shirts.
Let's see, can I make it just there we go.
I see the stickers there. Okay.
Yeah.
I like to bring the doom when he's screaming. Can you do black on black though?
He tried
No,
to do
I
that.
tried, and it does not look good. It looks it's very muddy, and so I like that's why I did the. If I can find some other designs though that will work that way, I will certainly I'll certainly make those. But when these particular logos, the screaming ones, did not, they look pretty muddy on a black shirt.
Gotcha.
And I said,
I got the one on the circle one up there, Joe.
This one here.
That one. Yeah, that's one I got.
Which one?
Pretty good.
Yeah.
The one that you showed now. Yeah.
Yep. I like that. And how many X's do you go up to? Because I got a lot of X's here. I'm going to the gym, but I need
2XL. It goes up to 2XL.
Oh, it ain't gonna help, dude. Come on, motherfucker. You know how fat gamers there are out there? We at least 5. What the hell kind of insult is that to the fat gamers everywhere, Paul?
This should inspire them to go to the gym like you, Joe.
Right.
Like, I want to wear that shirt. I'm willing to lose a few extra pounds. Dang it.
Motherfucker. You can't buy the shirt for another 7 months at this workout routine scale that I'm doing then. Son of a I haven't been a 2X since goddamn high school, bitch. What the hell?
Here, I got to show you this, Paul, too.
But that is a first for me. The first time I've ever made a character out of my shirt there. Oh, there we go.
Nice.
Right made it on the back of my computer there.
Nice. When I go to North Texas, I'm going to have a bunch of stickers with me too. I'm going to give those. I'll give those out to just folks at the convention.
That's awesome.
That'll be cool. Yeah, that'll be fun. Yeah, because I saw that they just had a deal today too, or something, Paul, where you got 50 of them for real cheap too. But I don't know. But yeah, buy Paul's t-shirts. They're cool. Amen. I think they might have to be my Monday night jersey. Well, when we, instead of wearing a sports jersey, I'm going to be wearing my
yeah. And the best thing about it, what I love about it too, is it automatically tells a story, right? It's like, well, let me tell you about this, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. About this guy.
Although you could make it into jersey and have Torin on the back shoulder.
Yeah, I don't know if anybody's going to pay that $40 price tag to get themselves a jersey. How wild we want to get, but certainly that's an option. There are other options to put it on other things, but I'm liking the stickers and the t-shirts thus far. If I get inspired with other things, I'll let you know.
That's a cool idea. Did you say tour, Tim? Did you say the tour t-shirt? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Well, he said the jersey. He said like
the jersey for you're talking about like the old time tour t-shirts, huh?
Dude, that's amazing. I thought that's what you said. That's a brilliant fucking idea. Even now that you didn't say it, I guess it's my idea, so I'll take credit for it.
It's your idea.
This is cool because what if you had Bring the Doom on the front and on the back, the Colmore Forest tour, and you'd have May 13th, the Hill of Death.
Lot grubs.
Shit. You'd have all these tour dates on there, man.
Yeah.
Cool thing.
Yeah. I'll call it the Torin and Hell Tour.
Yes.
And it'll be Torin like just fighting demons. It's just gonna be this epic piece that you're gonna see. That's what he's doing now.
That would be pretty metal there.
That is metal, right? I think that my next campaign, I'll do a couple years from now, whatever, at the end of the campaign, I'm going to do a fucking tour t-shirt for everybody who played. I'll have something on the front. I went to the Colmore Forest and I got this fucking shitty t-shirt. And on the back, the tour dates. You know what I mean? Something like that.
I got was this t-shirt and a gaping chest wound. And so,
it was stripped from my dead body.
Like blood, holes in it, as if it's a hole in your own chest or something. Like an arrow, a graphic of an arrow hitting your chest, a battle axe wound, in the front, and the back that has all the tour dates. Holy shit. This is kind of cool. Nobody who's listening to this better steal the idea. Then there's nobody fucking listening to this anyway. So, yeah.
No, not right now. No, not too much.
Well, I can see where I need a black one and a white one. A white one to wear around the house, because if you wear black in our house, you end up
dog hair and cat hair.
And cat hair.
Yeah.
But I gotta have the black one for when I'm playing music out.
No, there you go.
There you
That's
go.
Fantastic.
Nice.
Yeah, that'll be a fun one.
Absolutely, that'd be fun.
Seen in the wilds. Yeah, Paul, bring a shit ton of stickers with you to North Texas. Bring 100 and just sticker them in random places, dude.
Wow.
On a table, on a glass. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And just always don't know what the fuck they are. You know?
Yeah, I'm sure they'll charge my room for that as well. For the cleaning crew that's got to go around and get all those stickers up.
It wasn't you, it was your fans. Your many fans are just
My
broadcasting.
many fans. That's right.
You know?
That's right. Yeah, well, by midnight, anyways, you can stick them on the forehead of gamers, and they won't even notice.
Well, if I do it, it'll be like the last night when I check out. Then I'll be gone. I'm out.
I'm out of here. Doom is out.
Doom
Yeah.
is out.
You do the old high
Doom
school
has
thing.
left the building.
You
Right.
do the high school thing where you clap somebody on the back and it's there. Hey, how you doing, buddy?
That's
You're walking around with bring the Doom all day long.
That's right. I need to make "I've been doomed" stickers.
Yes.
Put it on there.
Yes. Oh my god, that'd be fucking great, dude.
Yeah,
I've been doomed.
that's
I've been doomed.
funny.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, you need
Oh.
well, you need the underwear, like the Doomer bloomers.
The fruit of the doom.
The fruit of the doom. That's right. We
Yeah.
said that.
Oh my
Yeah.
god, yes.
Fruit of the doom. That's right.
Yeah.
There we go.
Oh god.
I just don't want to see him, Paul.
And they've got to be tighty
And
whities.
then I'd be
'cause you
like,
know
Then I'd be
Karen
like
wears
Ash.
tighty whities.
I'd be
They
Ash
do.
from Evil Dead and says, "This is my doom stick." This is my doom stick.
Oh shit, man.
You definitely was your wielding your doom stick a lot during the game.
Yeah,
And
it's
I
stick
lost
because-
it most of the time.
Yeah, because the axe kept falling off. All I had was
The
a
axe
stick
would fall
left.
off, and I'd have a stick. That's what I'd fight with.
Or it would just fly out of your hand and echo down the hall,
Echo down the
alleyway.
Into
Yeah.
the darkness it goes.
That's right.
Oh, God.
All right, guys. Thanks everybody for joining us tonight. Appreciate it. Next week, Vance will be running his game. It's going to be a Shadowdark second level.
All mages.
Yeah, that'd be fun. We all show up, all mages. We all have the same spells. You first. No, you first.
There we go.
You
All-
first.
Maybe all clerics. We might need it.
Right. Yeah, we're all
If
thieves.
it's all clerics,
you
then they're not giving me the single undead.
I tell you,
Dude.
dwarven fighters are this class that survives Shadowdark the most. We get the hit points and the double hit point rolls. Dwarven fighters. Yeah, dwarven fighters. They are the ones that will survive.
Yeah, but you almost killed yourself.
What?
You almost
What
killed
was that?
yourself.
When was that?
When you napalmed yourself with all the oil flasks you were wearing.
Oh well, I had the piss boy ready to go. I was okay. I was good. Piss boy.
These personal
History of
fire
the world,
hose.
man.
Now,
Yeah.
Kermit, when I catch on fire, you are to piss on me. Okay.
Be all over them. It's a good
Oh,
thing I
my
had my
God.
doom tankard.
That's right.